we are in one of the most exciting and dangerous periods of modern history. The present world monetary financial system will inevitably disappear soon. The question is, what will replace it? That's the issue. The international monetary system in its present form is hopelessly bankrupt. There's no way it could be simply reformed. It must be, in a sense, replaced. So what has to be done, essentially, is we have to create a new monetary system. And what I've proposed is this, that if the United States, and this is not impossible, if the United States should extend a proposal to Russia, to China, and to India to co-sponsor the formation of a new international monetary financial order, that could be done. The problem is that most nations, such as those of Western and Central Europe and other parts of the world, are not able to independently act in this way, to initiate. However, if you get the United States and Russia, which are two of the largest nations of the developed world, formerly developed world, and you combine that with China and India, which are the two Asian nations which represent the largest ration of population of the world's population, then you have a combination which can provide a protective cover for joint action together with the nations of South America, for example, and Europe and elsewhere. We have now an incalculable crisis worldwide in progress. This is not a financial crisis. This is not a financial scandal as such. This is not a scandal of any ordinary sense. This is a crisis to see who is going to run the world. Is it going to be a group of nations, or is it going to be the emerging new British Empire, or the re-emergent British Empire, which really never went away, which takes over from the United States and establishes its world rule through globalization? Therefore, what we have to do is this. The present world international monetary financial system is bankrupt. There is no way in which it could be reformed on its own terms and survive. Any attempt to maintain this system would mean a complete disintegration into a new dark age comparable to what Europe experienced during the 14th century, with the collapse of some of the Lombard banks in Italy at that time. That's what happened. Therefore, the solution is to establish a new international monetary financial system. That can be done on the basis of the U.S. Constitution's special provisions. Remember, the U.S. system is not a monetarist system. The U.S. system constitutionally is based on a credit system based on the constitutional authority of the United States government over the control, utterance and control of its own money. In other parts of the world, countries' financial systems have been controlled largely under the Anglo-Dutch liberal system, in which this system, through its network of private banks, so-called central banks, actually dictates and controls governments. So we've had an imperial world monetary financial system which has been traditionally centered on the British Empire, essentially ever since 1763, February 1763. Against that, the only system which is surviving of any great significance today, as the alternative, is the constitutional provisions of the U.S. Constitution, which establishes the U.S. dollar as a credit mechanism of the U.S. government. That is, under our system, when it's operating, and it has not always operated that way, obviously, under our system, we generate credit through a vote in the Congress, especially the House of Representatives. The President of the United States then acts upon that authority of this federal law to utter currency as credit against the United States itself. Now, the chief function of this credit is not just to print money. The function of this credit is to supply capital funds for long-term capital investments, especially in the public sector, but spilling over into the private sector. In the public sector, large-scale infrastructure projects for the states as well as the federal government. This credit generally extends for a life period of 25 to 50 years in terms of modern economy. Therefore, we have a present world monetary financial system which does not function. However, if the United States affirms its constitution and enters into agreement with 3 other sponsoring major countries and other countries, then we can create a new international monetary financial system immediately, putting the entire existing system into bankruptcy reorganization to maintain the continuity of essential functions and to start a program of actual net economic growth and development. The hard core of this, or the long term, would be long-term investment in basic economic infrastructure and development of the economies of various parts of the world. A cooperative set of treaty agreements of 25 to 50 years duration to create capital formation to bring the world up in the way that Roosevelt had intended had he lived at the end of the war. Therefore, the United States must be reformed in the way consistent with its own constitution by offering cooperation with other countries, especially leading countries, to establish a new world system, a new version of the old Bretton Woods system, which would provide for a recovery programs of over 25 to 50 years of long-term investment throughout the world as a whole.